Welcome back to another episode of the Shortsighted podcast. Today we're talking to Lauren, who is our former administrator and a longtime member. He actually started with Myopia in January of 2018 with minus 3.75 diopters and is currently down to minus 1 diopter. Here's Lauren.
I'm honored to be on this podcast with Jake finally. Some of you may know me already. Some of you watched my earlier clip on YouTube concerning Endmyopia. I'm Lawrence Bueller. I'm a dentist. I got interested into getting my eyesight back through healthy eating, healthy food, healthy lifestyle. A small video clip of Dr. Mercola recovering his eyesight from presbyopia, back to pretty much normal. And that got me on the bandwagon of Jake and Myopia. So I'm here now. I started this in January of 2018. It was the 13th of January. Yeah. And I started with minus 3.75 in both eyes, in diopters. I quickly, within half a year, I dropped down to minus 1.25. And since then, it has been a bit slower. Right now, I'm using minus 1, which is also lovely. We'll talk about that later. But I made a huge jump in the first half year. And probably in this podcast, we'll get to why that happened and why it's slow now. But yeah, it's lovely really getting your eyesight back and not being so dependent on correction glasses or contact lenses anymore. And myopia is a great way to do that in a natural, normal, and relaxed fashion.
What do you think, just from a professional perspective, do you think it's easier being in an industry where you're dealing with human biology to relate to this kind of idea? Do you think there's a bigger barrier for the average person who doesn't have that kind of background? What do you think? Is there any connection as far as you were getting into this, it making sense to you in the beginning?
Well, I do think it helped a lot because I also have to look at some scientific data from now and again, and it has to make sense. Also with the healthy eating and the no sugar stuff, it has to make sense. So when you on your website describe and in your videos you describe that okay, the focal point is wrong and it needs to be corrected. And then later on you explain, okay, if we just put it a little bit in front of the retina, your eyes can adapt again. They get it. It's as simple as that. So yeah, you have to get the basic human biology. You have to know how the lens works, how the light is refracted. But if you read up on it, or if you have your background already, it makes such perfect sense. So it helps, yeah. But if you make a little bit of an effort, if you don't have the background, you're there.
And how did you, when you started, like how were the initial reductions? Like, did you get active focus immediately? Did you reduce a lot in the first 3 months?
Yeah, the active focus, I got that within the first half hour of trying, which is nice. But now my active focus is all weird, like in one of your videos where you have this double vision from minus 1.5 that resolved totally. It's all double vision now. So active focus works in a different manner, as you know.
And was there anything in particular that was helpful in getting to active focus, or was it already just something you knew how to do?
I think I was just lucky because I just took a book and I held it at the edge of blur, and like you said, just wanted to clear up. I was looking at one of the characters, one of the letters, and it just cleared up. So, and we know this from the forum, many people struggle with it day in, day out for months and months and months, and it's sad, and it's also not fair.
I think to some extent, though, for those listening, Lawrence is the administrator of our forum, so he gets a lot of this stuff. But I think, to be fair, if you look at the overall numbers of how many people are participating, or even just commonly recurring visitors to the website, I think the amount of people that have issues is relatively a small percentage. We just
Yeah,
notice them more because they're more vocal about it. But
yeah.
I'm bringing this up because I get it in YouTube comments where people have like the questions like specifically how did it work, what happened, what was the process. I'm trying to dig at that a little bit more.
Yeah.
What was your first reduction like?
So yeah, your 7-day emails, actually, people, they are lovely. If you really read them carefully, I mean, man, you've got 80% of myopia covered right there. If you read it carefully, you've pretty much got the basics all lined up for you. So those are when you transition from taking over from Alex to and one of the first big things you changed was introducing those 7-day email guide. That was such a big hit. I mean, it's exquisite. So I also joined the Back to 2020 program. People, why did I do that? Because I feel like Jake deserves some form of recognition for his hard work. That's the only reason, really. I was already making great progress without it. So I did the 7-day email guide. I already reduced to minus 3.0. And also I'm wearing contact lenses. Right now I'm also wearing contact lenses. And I bought cheap minus 1.5 plus 1.5 reading glasses. And I just put them over and I got my differentials. So it was really easy. And that was all from the 7-day email guide. So first reduction was -3. My ciliary spasm resolved within months or weeks actually. So my initial reductions were amazing. Every 4 weeks I could drop a quarter of a diopter. And that's all from the 7-day email guide. I mean, it took me so long to catch up in the 2020 program to where I was already at.
Yeah, but I think that's really an individual thing. And I think that goes back to my earlier comment about you being in a profession where you're dealing with this kind of stuff. I get a fair bit of feedback. It depends on where the person is, right? Like if you're a beginner and the volume of the blog is overwhelming, then a structured thing is good for some people.
Really.
I'm really noticing the one size fits all thing doesn't work. So for somebody, the 7-day emails are perfect. For somebody else, it's too much. For somebody else, it's too little. So I'm trying to offer as many options as possible. Do you always wear contact lenses?
Well, I went without them for quite some time, but I really noticed lately that I was actually stuck in the bad plateau for quite some time. You can deduce this from the data. So in the summer of 2018, yeah, I was already working on -1.0, and I've been pretty much static since then. Well, not really, because recently, and this is one for the viewers. Please get enough sleep, really do. Don't drink too much alcohol and cut the sugar to a minimum. Do that. Please do, because you will mess up your vision. You really mess it up. I mean, you can notice if you're feeling a bit ill or under the weather, I immediately can tell by my eyes and what my eyesight is doing that there is something going on. Because my body doesn't have the energy to line up my image.
But how much do you do the contact lenses? Since how long are you wearing those most of the time?
So yeah, I've reverted. So when I started the first half year of Endmyopia, I was wearing contacts with the plus 1.5 reading glasses. But at some point, that's too much for a differential. Those of you familiar with differential, it gets you clarity up close, arm's length, that kind of stuff, reading books, looking at a screen. But if you are at -1, then plus 1.5 is too much because you're actually inducing plus lens therapy. So I wasn't ready for that. Might come in the future, but not right now. So at that point, I was just wearing glasses, no glasses, glasses, no glasses. So -1 glasses and plano or nothing for differential. That was going really well, but I noticed that I wasn't getting past that plateau. And right now, when I started back with my contact lenses, which I did, I think, well, yeah, June of last year, June 2019, I got some -1 contacts again, and those really helped. I mean, if I put them in, I have good 20/20 vision, even in lower light conditions. So these are good for me now. But I'm still waiting for the snake to shed its skin, as you say in the Back to 2020 lessons. It's not completely easy just yet. And I'm patiently waiting for that to happen.
Yeah. No double vision image stuff right now?
Not with the -1, no.
No, with the -1. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, all the way in the distance.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And when you're saying plateau, because the last diopter is definitely a challenge, and you know all the things I say, but basically, my favorite thing is the glasses, no glasses approach a lot of the times, because the crutch factor, right? Like you're using them when you need them, and then when you wear them, you really want nice clarity, right? Like you don't really want much blur challenge at all. So you have that reference clarity. So when you take them off, the idea being that your brain is trying to get back to that clarity. So you're going between a noticeable amount of stimulus and then nice reference clarity.
Yeah.
Tends to work well, but then if you do that and nothing happens, a lot of times it's, and again, I know you know this stuff more for the listeners, is too much close up relative to how much distance, time, and distance vision challenge is involved, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it can be useful to just vary the focal plane. Like what you did, where you're just going back to contact lenses, if you're stuck in a plateau where your biology is just not accepting any stimulus, just changing that around can be useful. But there again, there should be some progress created. Like once you make the change, you're noticing, okay, now this is better. And then you you're reinforcing whatever habits that should be in place. And then you should see progress.
Yeah.
Like
So
there's definitely.
I wanted to ask you about this because I've been contemplating this for myself. I'm not really applying the zero diopter reset very much. So I was actually thinking if I just took my -1.5 glasses again and alternate between those and just plain vision more, because it's easy to do. I have them lying around. Would you recommend that, or should I give that a try?
I like them. Like, and again, the last diopter is a challenge, and there's several different ways to approach it. For some people, some plus lens use can get you over that hump, right? In some cases, it's simply not enough distance vision challenge, where you have, I mean, you do the martial arts thing. So as long as you have something that requires focus, right? And then in those conditions, having sometimes enough blur challenge to where you're really working on active focus can make a big difference. But all that said, 1.5 is almost a little bit on the high side still. 1.25 maybe, 1.5, yeah. And alternating between those two tends to be effective. And you have to look at a slightly longer timeline instead of 3 to 4 months, like 6 months, where gradually you're noticing that situations where you're previously wearing your glasses, now you're doing less so. Like you're sitting in your living room, you're watching TV, there's subtitles. Normally you'd have glasses on, and all of a sudden you realize you didn't put them on, but the subtitles are still fine. Like there's like a gradual progression that sometimes is difficult to appreciate because you're like, well, I'm still wearing these. But if you actually pay attention to when you need them, you start noticing that you need them less. And that's my favorite way to deal with the last diopter or the last general diopter. Some people like to just keep making quarter diopter reductions, and that works better for them. You know, just going down. Like to me, it makes less sense to wear -1/2 diopter glasses, but there's definitely been cases where that has gotten the person back to 20/20. the main thing is when you pick one of these experiments, you have to do it for 6 months or so to see whether it's working or not.
Yeah. That's also one thing I want to say to the viewers and the listeners. If you get to the last diopter, it becomes a whole different ballgame. Be ready for that. Don't be discouraged or offended if it doesn't function as properly as it was going before. I mean, I'm hitting that roadblock. I'm in the middle of it, and I'm trying to resolve it, as you can see from what I'm talking about with Jake here. Don't give up, really, and experiment for yourself what works for you and what gets you going in, but it will be slower.
Yeah. That must have been interesting though, like that much reduction, because at over 3 diopters, you still need your glasses for everything. So you must have had some interesting times, especially when you get into the 2 diopter range, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was really strange because at the height of my reduction, I could see with the centimeter calculator, I could see 120 centimeters clearly from my screen. But right now I'm not able to. So I'm not sure what was going on, but what I was doing was working so well, but at some point it regressed. And like you said, your biology has to catch up. It has to adapt. And I really feel that my biology is getting the hang of it. And with these -1 contacts, it's going great. I've got good vision. But the switching between total clarity and challenge is something that I'm missing. Also, outdoor times. I'm a dentist. You already heard that in the introduction. So I'm working up close. I'm in a closed space. I've got some little daylight, but not much. So I cannot get out really much. I drive to work. I drive back from work, and that's about it. In the weekends, I go out with the kids. I'm pretty much. I'm not able to get 3 hours of outdoor time in my schedule. It's impossible. And
Yeah.
that really makes a big difference. So people, if you're doing this, get out.
Yeah, I say this a lot, and for anyone who listens to a lot of these, has probably heard it too many times already. Picking up a hobby because one of the things that happens, and maybe not in your case, because with 3 kids and dentistry practice, you're plenty busy already. A lot of people underestimate their screen use.
Yeah.
Thinking of how much they use it versus actual. And instead of trying to break that screen addiction or that lying to oneself, picking up a hobby, like whatever it is. For some reason, I've been watching this guy on YouTube. He has an archery channel. And as much as he's into that, I'm like, that kind of thing, where you're focusing your addictive tendency away from the screen to another thing that adds so much quality active focus time. Again, in your specific case, it's maybe more difficult, but recovering those hours with something that you want to do as opposed to something that you think you have to do sometimes really makes a difference.
Yeah, but I do try to incorporate it because if I practice my karate, if I'm at the practice and it's my lunch break, I have 1 hour lunch break. So if the weather is good, I go outside in the garden and I practice there. I'm able to do that. So I'm also looking at the distance. I'm looking at the buildings and the trees and all the stuff far away, and that really helps. If I'm done with my training in the garden, it's better. My vision is a lot better. So it really helps. But it's small bits and pieces that I'm able to get. And as you said in the Back to 2024, just be prepared for it to go slower.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And it's definitely, you're in a comfortable spot, and it's also, well, we're having some audio issues. It's sometimes it's a comfortable spot, and this is the other thing I was going to say. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, good. It said the internet connection. So my concern with the contact lenses is they're super convenient, so you have them in your eyes, you're busy, you have a million things going on, and it's so much easier just to go, that's fine, right? Like right now we're at screen distance, you're wearing those things, that's not the ideal distance to be introducing a minus one.
Actually bad. This.
Yeah, and those
Yeah.
little things add up, which is why I like the glasses, because the crutch factor, it's on your face. You don't have perfect, the contact lenses make your vision just seem just fine, like you're not thinking about it. And the glasses add a little bit of that crutch factor. You've done it before and you say it wasn't super beneficial and the contact lenses helped, but at some point, maybe if you feel like that experiment again, sometimes it can work.
Yeah, I'm really going to try that. I'll do that actually when we're done here this afternoon already, because that's interesting to know. People, I'm wearing these contact lenses, but my habits do check out. And let me explain to you what those are. I get to work. I work up close at the screen. I'm not doing that right now, but I put on my reading glasses, +1 reading glasses. So I'm actually more or less, it's artificial partially, but I'm using a zero diopter focal plane. Working with my patients, I also have these glasses on. So I'm not using my normalized or distance correction for up close. I never ever do that. I get up, I go without my contacts for as long as possible, 40 minutes at least. I add them, I drive away. So I have a nice normalized challenge in the distance. I get to work, plus glasses come on. And when I'm back home, contacts come out, and my +1, my -1 glasses come on again. So I'm only using them for my working hours. And right now I had some visitors and I was just coming up here, so yeah, I didn't have the time to cast them out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not there, right? Like I can only offer just general ideas where the context you apply it and you figure it out. The main thing that I see people that have that little bit of a challenge with I had the last outfit challenge. It was super challenging for me. And at the time there was not a big group of people who pulled off 2020, so I didn't know if it was possible. And I've tried a bunch of things, and ultimately what worked for me is switching between really nice clarity and just not wearing glasses. And over the years, as we went through this, we've tried a bunch of things. And what I've learned that there is no one size fits all. And as much as I want there to always be one solution that always works, it's not the case. But most commonly it is that wearing glasses and switching between I'm only wearing them when I need them. And the I need them part slowly becomes less and less.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. And what's interesting to realize is you have to really walk this path yourself. You have to really test out what happens and give it a few weeks. Give it a few weeks to see what's going on.
Yeah. When was that? Do you remember about your 2 diopter range? How that was when you were getting there from 3 to 2?
Yeah, I do remember. That was the well, you get this from in German as well. The crocus holiday, the February holiday. Well, anyway, in February we have a holiday going on, and I was actually going to Disney in Paris, the Disney resort. And it was cold and the weather was bad, and I was having so much trouble with my -2.25 contact at that point. Also with my reading glasses, of course, accompanied, because I always wear proper differentials. It was cold and it was bad, and I was driving to Paris from the Netherlands, and it was dark and it was a mess. I had really hard time reading. Bad advice, people. Wear better correction if you're at night on the road. Yeah, so that was actually a bad form for me. So I was actually driving to Paris. I had a hard time reading the signs and all. But when I got back from those 2 weeks, suddenly -2.25 was too strong. So I could drop another quarter diopter, and it was about every 4 to 6 weeks I was able to swap a quarter diopter. So yeah, that's why it happened so quickly. And one of the most amazing things was the double vision. At -2 or something, all the blur vanished. There was only double or misaligned vision. I'm not sure why or how, but yeah, no blur left.
How long did that go on for?
That's still there.
How much is that still going on?
Well, it really depends on if I had some alcohol, how my night's rest was, how well I'm feeling. But yeah, if I get up and I'm well rested and I look at the chart with plain eyesight, I get to 20/50 indoors. Yeah,
Oh, that's
that's
pretty
what I'm
good.
able to do. Yeah, so and I put my contacts in, and then it's straight to 20/20 already. But it's nice for outside stuff.
But so at the -1 diopter range, do you still get that ghosting double vision images?
Yeah, yeah,
You
but
do.
not when I wear the -1 correction. Then it's pretty much non-existent.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because usually when that happens, it's almost like a transient astigmatism. It's generally a sign that you're not ready for another reduction. But when you go to a -1 and it's fine, and you're only getting the double vision images without the -1, a lot of times that means spend more time without the glasses. And because what happens is when you get these double vision or just like ghosting images, if you give it time, like if you have some static moments where you're looking at stuff, you'll see that the ghosted image moving around. Like literally your visual cortex is trying to align those images. So the more of that time that you get without having headaches or without straining, the more you give your visual cortex time to realign the image, the closer you get. And you might literally get to the point where things just snap and you have 20/20 vision, not permanently, but for some small period of time. And then the ghosting comes back. But once your brain gets to the point where it found where the image is aligned, it'll happen more and more frequently.
Yeah, those clear flashes, they happen. They still happen. Yesterday I was outside with the kids riding the bike, and I was going without correction. It's nice sunny weather now. So at some point I had these clear flashes for a couple of minutes. I had clear vision. So it happens, and it's actually lovely. It's lovely to realize that your eyes are just regenerating. They are relearning this stuff. It's great, and I'm so thankful for this. And I know you heard it from all the other participants as well. But it's amazing that you made this happen and you made it into such an easy to grasp format.
I appreciate that. But speaking of the clear flashes, those used to drive me insane.
Yeah.
It's like a tease, right? Like your vision is just, and you're just fine. You can see everything just fine, but you know it's not going to last, right?
Stay there, stay there. Please, please, please.
Yeah. But that's a good sign, because that, like, if you're at that point where you're not dealing with any blur, you're just dealing with the misaligned image, that is the very last bit of it. Because then as you're getting clear flashes, if you focus on that experience, for some reason I found like that, exactly what you said is like, please stay there. There'll be more of them, and appreciating that there'll be more of them, and repeating the same environment where you're getting the clear flashes as frequently as you can. It's just like anything where you see, oh, this is working for me. It's like you're giving the visual cortex a chance to do that alignment. And you just you eventually notice that it happens more frequently, or it persists longer. It works more easily in good daylight conditions. I'm just trying to offer comments of something that may help as you're like on this plateau a little bit, because it sounds like you're really, really close.
Yeah, I know that. I do notice this, and it's also a warning for people who are also at this stage. If you go outside, for instance, give your eyes a challenge. Don't just walk around and be complacent. Have a look at something that's easy to get some clarity on. provide a little bit of stimulus, because it's all really easy to just go outside, have a look at the kids, and don't do any active focusing or something. Make it work. Give the stimulus.
Oh, yeah. And don't stick with -1 contacts forever.
No, 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 I won't. I won't. I already have a plan for this, but I will start alternating between the minus 1.5 glasses and nothing this afternoon already.
Yeah.
Just to see how that goes.
Yeah, it's not consistent. That's the infuriating thing, is just there's a gradual, and sometimes even it seems like for months nothing happens, and then all of a sudden you realize I don't need to wear them for X activity anymore. As long as and you probably have all this sorted, because for one, you know, and two, you came from 3 diopters, so you already built some good habits. Where I tell this story sometime, where I used to wear glasses less and less and less, and then I'd only wear them at night, only wear them at night riding motorbikes. And then one night, I remember specifically, I would always put the glasses on with some level of like guilty excitement that I'd get this extra clear vision at night. And they were like 1.25-ish diopters.
Yes.
And I enjoyed that because it just gives you this no effort clarity, even in just dark conditions. And I put them on and they did nothing. It was the most, I'm never going to forget that experience. They just did nothing. Like I would take them on, I would put them on and they wouldn't give extra clarity. They would align things a little bit more. It would appear sharper, but without glasses, I could see better than with the glasses, but it was more effort. Like it was a really weird, it's hard to quantify how to put that into words. It's just the glasses didn't give me better focus. And that was the end of it. Like I couldn't wear glasses anymore at that point. But there was definitely a good chunk of time between wearing those glasses all the time and then gradually wearing them less and eventually ending up at that point where they just no longer offered a focal plane that worked.
Yeah. But it's a very similar case for Matthew Eli, also in the forum and
Right.
depicting this in his videos. He's one of the biggest people telling us that this is something which takes some time and some effort, and it's okay, it's good. So I really dig it that he's actually out there telling this.
Yeah. And you somehow find the time to moderate the forum too. I have no idea how you do that.
Well, right now you know that, that it's a little bit less than what it should be, but usually in between patients, I'm able to work on the forum, so it's easy for me. I just have the forum in a browser tab opened, and I can just switch to my patient program, and in between I can just have a look and give a small comment, so it's easy for me.
Yeah, you're a saint. You're a saint. I don't, half the time I don't want to look, especially when it comes to advice, because I don't know, maybe I feel like I've already said it all, but yeah, I appreciate that. For those of you listening who also enjoy the Le Meow forum, it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Lawrence, because I would have given up on it some time ago.
Yeah, but it's a great, there's a great bunch of people there. There's great chemistry, and there's also a really nice breeding pool for future stuff to start up from there.
Yeah, it's super important. Like especially the conversations about axial length measuring. I'm always really excited about that. And those apps, the guys who made the measuring apps, the iOS app to measure your diopters, like there's cool stuff in there for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool ecosystem.
Wow. Yeah, I appreciate that. Just you somehow managed to find the time for all of it.
Yeah, well, it's me trying to be a little altruistic, unselfish.
Yeah, yeah. What else? Is there anything else interesting you think that you would, if you would tell the you from the past, if you could time travel on the journey from the starting diopters to that might be useful or helpful to others?
Well, actually, I do have a bit of a small interesting story. That's my brother. So my brother is a bit of a, well, a slow-going guy, especially when it comes to new things. He has a fear of failure. So it's really interesting that I also told him, go do this. So he was at minus 4.0 and minus 4.25 diopters, also wearing contact lenses, hard contact lenses. And he wasn't really interested. He was like, okay, this is fine for me, like most people. But then his daughter knocked one of his contact lenses out of his eye, and he lost it. So he was suddenly without one of his hard contact lenses, and those are expensive. So at that point, he figured, yeah, I might as well join my brother and start with this journey as well. So my brother has reduced from minus 4 and 4.25 to minus 2 already. So minus 2 is his new normalized. And he did not read the 7-day email guide. He isn't on the forum. He isn't in Back to 2020. He just got some data from me. I just told him, these are differentials. This is what you should be doing. You need to wear some normalized correction that gives you a little bit of a blur challenge. And with those basic steps learned from you, he's already dropped half his corrections. So it's lovely. And it doesn't have to be the case for everybody, but it's a great example of how easy this can be. He just applied the basic rules and he halved his correction already. So I really like that. Oh. It will be interesting to see what he's going to do when he gets to -1, because that will be the big challenge.
Not necessarily though. What I'm predicting is he's just going to sail past the -1, and then you're going to be like, why?
Yeah, could be.
Because some people do. For some people, and that's why sometimes I hesitate bringing up the challenging aspects, because I don't want to introduce that thought in people's head like this is going to be hard, because it doesn't have to be. But then I have to explain it, because if you do run into it, I don't want you to feel like, what happened here? Why is this going on? But there are definitely a fair amount of people, and in some of the previous podcasts, I think it's even come up, that just kind of look confused when I say, what about the last diopter? Because the last diopter went the same as the other ones. So your brother could have the same experience.
Could be. Yeah, no one size fits all, of course. But it's just for the audience, if you just apply these basic steps and basically just put the focal plane a little bit in front of your retina, up close and far away, you'll get there. Well, with some active focus, I mean, that's essential.
Yeah, that's really all there's to it.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And all these people watching all the videos, asking tons of questions, it's not that hard, people.
It's not. The problem is, the reason there's that many things is because when people ask questions, I try to explain. That's just like we were talking here about tricks to get past the last diopter. It's minutia, right? It's details, but then there's so many of these that when you first arrive at Endmyopia and you look at the resource, it appears overwhelming, but really 95% of it is like little detail bits, where, as you say, the main thing is just move the focal plane a little bit in front of your eye, and that's all there's to it.
I really dig that with the big, one of the bigger videos you did right at the starting point of the Myopia forum, and you had this Facebook meeting or something, where some physicist actually told you why not move it a little bit in front of your retina. Did you get it Did you get that idea from those guys, or?
From the Myopia forum guys?
No. You were, at some point you were talking to a physicist, and he actually told you, why don't you move the focal point a little bit in front of your retina?
There was a lot of trial and error, and there was a lot of suggestions, and I don't know to who I would attribute the glory to ultimately. Between that and biology books and optometrists in countries that aren't so capitalist saying don't wear your glasses when you don't need them, I feel like it was puzzle pieces that ultimately all pointed in the same direction. Not any one of those things was convincing me specifically, but then when you get it from all sides, you know, like somebody who understands optics going, okay, what if you move the focal plane, and then the biology book saying the axial length continues changing, and then the optometrist saying, don't wear those things when you don't need them. Eventually it was enough to where I was like, okay, this is the direction. I don't really know who the credit goes to ultimately for selling me on it.
Well, actually, you put the pieces of the puzzle together.
I'm sure I'm not the first one who's done it. I'm not smart enough, right? I just think everything kind of came together with the internet and enough support and me using the whole thing to rant and troll optometry. You know, like I always say, I'm just the janitor librarian of the whole thing.
Yeah, but you get the message, you get it out there, and that's the important thing. I mean, if it wasn't for you, thousands of people would be under the impression that it's just genetic, you're stuck with this. Make your peace with it.
Yeah, I will make my peace with it. And with that, it's almost 8 p.m. here and I'm starving. So unless we have other things that we need to add to this, what do you think? Should we call it? Do we cover everything?
I think we covered most of it. I just want to say hi to the fellow moderators of Le Miao. Hi guys. Especially Christina and Sandra, those lovely gals. I really dig you, the two of you. I'm hoping you're well in this COVID crisis.
Yes, me too. I really appreciate all the moderating going on. There's a really great community. I read most of the posts. All right. Well, thanks for being on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was an honor to be here.
All right, and that is our episode with Lauren. I hope you find this useful. I'm trying to get some diopter perspectives from all ranges, from very high myopia to moderate myopia to low myopia, to hopefully capture some of the things that apply most relevantly to you. In some of these episodes, I'm talking more than in others. A lot of them may be useful if you want to watch or listen to them. Available, of course, on our YouTube channel and most likely in your favorite podcast app now. Please subscribe. More of them coming soon.